All right, guys, so you're thinking about buying a house. Here in 2023, here are 3 things that you need to expect before jumping into the market. What's up, guys? My name is Ben Kwon. I'm associate broker here in Virginia. And today we're gonna go over 3 key things that I think everybody should know before they jump into this real estate market. Let's get into it. First and foremost, listings are down 40% from last year. Now we know in 2020 and 2021, the market was cooking, right? Days were very low. Everything was going multiple offers. We had 40% more listings coming on the market than we do today. Now, prices have not risen since last year, if at all. Some places might be down, some might be a little bit up, but overall for my market, we're still at a 0% change year over year from April of last year. You gotta understand supply and demand. As demand goes up, supply goes down, prices usually go up. But right now with the affordability issue and just how expensive it is to borrow money, really we're not seeing prices change much. In fact, I've had in my personal dealings, 3 appraisals in the last 2 months that have come in low. So the banks are really getting tight on raising those sale prices. And really what it was is when interest rates really skyrocketed, we had prices kind of drop down for a second and they've steadily climbed back up now. But that doesn't help because we still don't have much houses. We're down 40%. You have to understand months of inventory as well, which I know I've talked about 100 times, but for our area, we are still sitting around 2 months of inventory, which is still showing a seller's market. With the low inventory, seller's market, what can you do? You have to think outside the box. You have to look at some off-market deals. You might have to look at some for sale by owners. Now, ideally, you're gonna hire an agent that thinks outside of the box for you and is really looking for those off-market deals, will help you get into those houses. You can also potentially go further out. Think more of the commute. Here in our area locally, we have Fredericksburg City and Stafford and the suburbs of Spotsylvania, which are really our hot markets. But if you start getting a little bit further out, you might find a better house, but you're now having to trade off with the commute. Number 2 on my list is high interest rates, historic high interest rates. Yeah, as of January 2022, we were at 3.2 interest rate, and now we've risen into the 6s and hit even 7 there for a short period. So it makes the affordability issue extremely hard right now for home buyers. Now, we printed a lot of money in 2020, so we've talked about this a pile of times, but we printed a lot of money. Inflation has risen. Feds try to keep up with inflation by raising interest rates, and it trickles down to mortgage interest rates as well. So there's definitely an affordability issue out there with first-time home buyers. A couple things you can do. One, you can always buy down your rate. So essentially you can pay a little bit extra closing costs and buy what's called points, and that can bring down your interest rate. You can always just play the long game too. Remember, real estate for the most part is a long-term hold. So if you're thinking about the long term, when interest rates come down, I'm not gonna say when, whenever they do, you can always refinance and get into a better interest rate at that point. Now you might hear realtors say like, marry the house and date the rate, whatever. There is some truth to that. You're buying that house and you have to think about it as a long-term hold. I don't want people buying houses thinking that they're gonna be moving in 2 years, because that could not work out in their benefit. And the biggest thing is just make sure you're budgeting for these higher interest rates. I always recommend getting pre-approved first. That is not even a question anymore. Talk to a lender first. Definitely get some numbers. In fact, like when I'm going to listing appointments and they're talking about buying, now I sold these people a house 4 or 5 years ago at this point, 10 years ago, whatever. I'm always saying, all right, let's get with the lender first. Let's make sure we're comfortable with what's out in the market for our price point, and then we'll talk about selling your house and getting you into that next house. Make sure you talk to a lender. Make sure they run some numbers on your ideal house and just see if that's something that's in your budget. Do not become house poor. So speaking on the affordability, my 3rd tip is cash out of pocket's extremely high right now. So let's think back, 2019, most first-time home buyers I was able to get closing costs for provided by the seller. It was just something that happened in our market, maybe not in every market. So I was getting a lot of folks in for very low amount of money out of pocket. That has since changed because, again, it's a seller's market. People aren't giving closing costs. So what I recommend for people, because remember, our average days on the market has still climbed. We're up to about 40 days on the market for our area. A lot of houses that are move-in ready are going fairly quick, and they still might be going multiple offers, even in this crazy affordability issue. Overall, if the house needs a little sweat equity or needs a little bit of work, they seem to be sitting. Sometimes the seller has priced their house way too high and they're sitting. So what I would recommend at this point is, one, we talked about thinking outside the box, go a little bit further out. I would look at trying to find those houses that are after their first week on the market. So if you need closing costs or you need a home sale contingency, something like that, don't get excited about that house that just hit the market. Don't say, oh, let's go look at it, because guess what? but there's a chance you got multiple offers and you just wasted all your time and effort on a house that you would have probably never won because you're never gonna get closing costs. You're never gonna get a home sale. So let's look at that house that's on the market, say 7 days or 5 days after that first weekend, or really between 10 and 30 days. If you get that, maybe that seller's more open to negotiation, and then you can potentially get a little bit less cash out of pocket. Now, I just got a buyer in Stafford, which was extremely hard to do, $10,000 in closing costs. It is happening, but we waited until after that house was through its first weekend of showings and they didn't get anything. They had some interest, but never got anything. We submitted a really clean offer, asked for some closing costs, and my buyer is not bringing any money out of pocket after they put their deposit, and their closing cost is gonna be provided as a seller. So there is deals out there to be had. You're not gonna be able to hit the seller with a low offer and ask for closing costs. Remember, it's usually either or, unless they're just extremely overpriced and other things. The last thing I'll say is let's go a little bit further out. Let's trade a little bit of that commute time for some cash out of pocket and get that closing cost. Because if you go a little bit further out, you're gonna have less competition. A lot of people wanna live in cities and stuff like that. We're gonna go a little bit further out, get less competition, and hopefully you will get your house with less cash out of pocket. As always, if you have any questions or need to reach out, please do. I'm here to help you guys, especially in the state of Virginia. And if you like this kind of content, of course, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.